All right, everybody. My name is Charles. It's nice to meet you, sir. Nice to meet you more. Uh-oh, baby's here. Gonna hurt me. Hello. Is anybody here yet? Probably not. I didn't assume there'd be anybody here in the first place, but an angry gibbo. But right when I literally about to hit the button to go live, it literally said Sleuth is going live. So I'm like, oh, isn't that great? If there was going to be anybody here, well, there's not going to be anybody here now. That's okay, because we can watch it on the replay. I haven't made this video already before in the first place. Gibbo, I know you're going to murder me. Yeah, I was literally just saying that you were going to murder me. Believe it or not, I did race like all hell to be here. And then, yes, I pop on, I hit the button, and Sleuth shows up, and I'm just like, yeah, my destiny is just not going to be happy. And honestly, I could have just not have started the thing and went and watched Sleuth, but then I'm like, yeah, no, Gibbo will probably be there, and he's going to yell at me, so I better get over here and just start. You can yell at me all you want tomorrow, okay? I'm sorry. Basically, you're probably going to be the only one here, so you can yell at me right now if you want, but I can't hear you. But yeah, I've already made this video before, but it's on a channel that no longer exists. It's just when I watch shows like eh, uh I'm a big dude too. It's kind of hard to make me go missing, man. I deserve that. Honestly, I do. Does my audio and stuff sound all right? Are you able to hear me at least fine? Because I don't want to start talking if if I just sound like a derp. You know what I mean? Like the one man show, just Charles talking to freaking Gibbo. All right, sweet, sweet, sweet. All right, as I said, I made this video a long ass time ago on my other channel that I self destructed for no apparent reason, but there's always a reason, but I just rather not get into it. But lately, I go chill with my homies like Criminality and other people, and they're going through all this stuff, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, what have y'all been doing for the past like year or two? Because all the information has been there all along. You would think, since it's so easy to find, that people would realize why a lot of us just plain out and simply say, no, Brian Koberger is guilty because there's so much evidence linking that there is found at premises that only Brian Koberger, who is associated with the crime itself, would have access to. You know, his apartment, um, his parents' house, all this other stuff. And basically, a long time ago, before I went back to Delphi, because honestly, I found Idaho, and I don't want to say it to make it sound like it's a bad thing or wrong or anything, but I needed a break from Delphi because it drives me nuts. And there was no arrest yet, I think, at this point. Yeah, or right after, I'm not sure. But I needed a break. I went over to Idaho because it was a very horrible murder scene and all this other stuff. And I was only there for like 3 weeks. And had already come up with this weird, crazy ass theory based on just the information we had found out right after the arrest and from the get go and stuff that was all easily available information and still is. So I don't understand why people were still having questions and still trying to say things like, oh, he's innocent and this and that and the other. I'm sorry. That's not what the evidence says. There's too many, hey, what the hell? And this and that and the other. And based on witness statements, things that the families was able to learn that I personally, you don't have to. Remember, I'm an idiot on the internet. You don't have to listen to me. You can go verify everything I said. That's verifiable. Whether or not it's the truth that's being given to me, I do not know. But, and I'm going to just be honest with you. Talking about 88 to 90% of this is pretty well verifiable. There is a couple of little slivers of rumor there. I just like the way they sound. It seems to fit everything else we know in a perfect puzzle. And I got bored, so yeah, I honestly wanted to just sit there and go, it makes sense. I'm going to use it. And there's evidence that somehow corresponds with things I think that make sense, even though for now it's a rumor. If it ever gets proven right, I'm just going to look awesome and everybody else is going to look dumb. And this has happened before in Delphi. So, hey, why not, right? Take a shot. And if I'm wrong, I'm still going to come out looking like 85% right. So, hey, I can deal with that. All right, fairly simple. All right. As I said, when I got involved in the Idaho case, it was right after the arrest was made of Brian Koberger. And I'm not even going to get really too far into the whole fact that I caught this MFer between the statements made by Dylan Mortensen, or what she heard, was dramatically almost like an homage to what he studied, which would have been serial killers. Because there was a little sliver of a serial killer, what is it, a quote? Yeah. Said at the crime that night that his role model of a serial killer also used when he murdered the Arturo family, Artero family. Um, one the victims, I think the final one, the little girl. He told her as he was approaching her, "Don't worry, I'm here to help." Now, if that sounds familiar, there's a reason why that sounds familiar, and that is literally because uh, Dylan Mortensen claims she heard somebody, a male, that she did not recognize the voice to, say that to what she assumed to be possibly Xana, and she heard whimpering or what sounded like crying. Now, I might be wrong there, or you might be slightly off, but if you go back, like I said, from the very beginning, from when this crime had just happened, Dylan didn't want to make any statements or anything like that, but it was either her boyfriend or her fiance that put some shit out on social media and very easily able to find. So I'm just not good at all these links and crap and stuff. I will update this after I finish making it and put all the links and stuff that I can find in there to try to save you some time and trouble and all this other stuff. But I was late, and I'm Charles, and I'm always late, and I apologize for that. Okay. Second quote, and I feel like this should be brought up because of what he studied. What he studied and what I feel. Do I believe he's an incel and all this other stuff? Yeah, kind of. Because if you look back and look at his types, the girl he had a creepy crush on in high school, the girl he tried to pick up on Tinder that he told you got some real childbearing hips. If you look at the way them girls looked right at the exact moment that he was doing this creepy shit to, and then compare them to Kaylee and freaking Maddie, you're gonna get like, wait, we have a similar type of victim. Yeah, it's called victimology, very similar type, and it's one of the important things to serial killers and stuff like that. And I do believe that while I think this was his first crime, probably because of the way he acted after the crime, that some people were reporting, but I'm not sure of yet. Um, mm, yeah, basically. I do think he had a type, and those girls didn't like him, and yeah, that leads me down to the incel route. He's a narcissist who liked a specific type of girl, and they didn't like him. And in my opinion, that's Elliot Rogers. That's the one dude with the creepy bald haircut that killed his family friend in the car and posted it on 4chan or whatever it was. They all have these things in common. And that's just my opinion. All right. Now, when he was arrested, once again, he studied serial killers. The first thing he told police, if you actually go back into the news report, you will find where he said, "Hey, was anybody else arrested?" Now, that might not seem like a big deal or whatever like that, but I right away knew about the tarot quote, but also there's another quote there that the son of Sam, David Berkowitz, used when he was finally arrested for his parking ticket as the 44 caliber killer, aka the son of Sam. He asked the cops, "Hey, was anybody else arrested?" So there's two. I'm not even getting to the other two, but you're going to find 4 to 5 total comments. They could mean nothing. But in my opinion, this is a narcissist that really, really was into, like, in a gross way, what he loved to study. And if anybody is going to pay homage to who he thinks are the awesomest people in the world, it'd be him. Remember to, like, oh, yeah, what he said. All right, now let's just get to the point of the crime and all this other stuff. I figured out a weird thing a long time ago about this crime because I saw a lot of things being reported on the website. I'm not going to go through all that mumbo jumbo about his car and all this other stuff being turned around and all that stuff. To me, that's not important. There's a million different cameras. I know I'm exaggerating. Uh, he was in the area, as far as I'm concerned, because of the he turned off his cell phone or whatever, or flight mode, or that's why I'm not worrying about all that. Basically, we're just going to get to the point where the killer has entered the house through the sliding glass door. Now, if you back when I was in college and stuff like that, and was learning criminal psychology and everything else, and behaviors and all that other crap, we were taught that the things that the killer did at the scene itself were literally some of the most important things, especially for things in regards to profiling and all that other stuff. And yes, on another episode, I'm going to teach everybody how to do their own criminal profile, stupid badass. And you're not going to have to pay a dime for it, but it cost me like $160,000. Isn't that badass? Yeah, I thought so too. And uh, now, first thing we're going to pay attention to is, but I'll wait to the end to tell you why all this is important. Um, we want to first figure out who all, or just who, happen to be the actual targets of our crime. It's hard to figure out why or how he knew him. I've heard so many different things from so many different areas. From he had pictures from this and that and the other. My personal opinion, he might have just found the one girl that he wanted and followed her BTK style and hunted that girl. And I'm gonna tell you right now, because of how he entered and what room he entered first, and all the other doors he passed, that our target is probably Maddie. For one, Kaylee wasn't even supposed to be there anymore, meaning the dog wasn't supposed to be there anymore. Sadly, they played a humongous part in all this, as far as I believe. If I end up wrong, hey, oh well. I don't think I am, but hey, we're gonna find out pretty soon when it comes to the trial, right? He walked inside through the sliding glass door, past certain things. He literally passes Xana and Ethan's door. He passes Dylan Morton's door. If I remember right, there is two bedrooms, or yeah, two bedrooms on the bottom floor. The access that he could have taken to get down to Bethany Funk, he chose not to. There's an empty bedroom also down there that he didn't even go check. So I believe he knew nobody was down there except for Bethany, or at least that girl. He passes those two doors, the access to the other two doors. He then proceeds to go up the little stairway or whatever that's at the back or whatever the house, and doesn't do a thing concerning the left door of that hallway, which would have been Kaylee's old room or whatever. But she's not supposed to be there, like I said. And she's driving a brand new Range Rover, so she wouldn't have been in a vehicle that he knew either. I'm not sure if she had another one, but I'm assuming she did. If that car's not there, he's not thinking she's there, my own opinion. Instead, he turns right. He goes up to Maddie's room. I don't know if it's unlocked. I don't know if he taps on it and she thinks it's Kaylee or someone and opens the door or whatever, but somehow Brian gets access into that room. I don't know what's going on in there at this point. I'm going to assume, even if she's injured, that Maddie is still alive at the point when all this starts to go all awry, or whatever the hell that word is. I believe because of what Dylan Mortensen said, she said she heard that the dog was barking and stuff like that, and maybe possibly that somebody was even playing with the dog. Once again, this is easily verifiable information that if you know the case, you should already know. This is what Dylan said. I honestly believe that was probably the dog alerting to somebody that wasn't supposed to be there, aka Brian. Kaylee's like, "What the hell's wrong with the dog?" I hear something, which might be the beginning scuffle that's going on between Maddie and Brian. So she goes to tell her closest pal, Maddie. I think they said something early on about either Kaylee's phone was dead or something like that. She had to use Maddie's and all this other crap. I think her phone might have been over in the other room. Who knows? But she goes over there. She goes to let Maddie know. She opens the door, and this is when everything just starts falling apart. Because, in my opinion, this was just one murder that somehow freakishly evolved into four. I know that sounds crazy, but we already know he passed every single door. If you're a killer and you got to think of things through the eyes of a killer, that's the easiest way to figure out why they're doing what they're doing and all that other stuff. The fact that he probably knew that Ethan was in that house, my guess, or at least there's a chance. If he's planning to kill Xana and all them, he's planning to possibly kill Ethan as well, if need be. So if you're the killer, you want to remove what first? The biggest threat. Two people in one room, and one of them being a what was he, 6'3", 6'4" athlete. That's your biggest threat, in my opinion. You start there. He didn't, so we're left with the one that we probably think that he was targeting, and that's Maddie. And all of this is just chaos after that. Because once Kaylee walks into Maddie's room or whatever to tell her what she hears something or something, now Brian freaks out. Remember, the whole belief is either the sheath, like Gibbo told me early on, he made a point, I'm going to give him that. There's a possibility that I'm just going for the easiest, most logical reasoning based on what's known and the information and the evidence we have at the moment. But from what we know, it seems like Brian was carrying a sheath in his hands and probably a knife as well. My honest opinion, he might have had a gun too. Pulled a little Richard Allen, used the gun for control, but he had no intention of firing it off. Might not even have been loaded in the first place. But that would have kept Maddie from screaming out while he had his fun. But everything falls apart when Kaylee walks into that room because he's like, oh shit, she's not supposed to be there. He goes ballistic, goes berserk, attacks, and goes psychotic on freaking Kaylee. And if you remember right, her dad on the news thing or whatever says, I've seen enough. I saw enough about my daughter to know that her injuries were significantly worse than Maddie's and that. But maybe he's not reading that right. Maybe there's a specific reason why the injuries are worse on Kaylee. Like maybe she startled the killer. And now his plan's falling apart, so he has no choice but to fight or flight. And he chose to fight. Just think about it. It's definitely a possibility. I'm not saying it's true, just saying a possibility. Well, he goes ballistic. He takes her out. Probably picks her up or something like that. Moves her. In the process, as I said, if she's injured, she's still injured. She's still alive because the sheath is found underneath her. Now, there's also the possibility that he moves both victims if they ended up both in bed, like is being claimed. And if he did it, then it's his own fault that she's on top of the sheath. So there you go. There's another reason why he probably was carrying that sheath, in my opinion. But like Gibbo said, it could have gotten broken in the process, but in the fight, struggle, something like that, and that is true. And that is more pertains to how does he keep the evidence up and everything? Why is there no blood in the car? Sure, he could have cleaned it, but come on, we're talking about a freakish amount of blood, right? A massive amount. 4 victims' blood all over everything, and you don't get a single drop of it in that car. I think that you're either so well prepared for keeping blood out of that car, and that's why I'm going this route logically. Or you're just really, really OCD and cleaning, and we do know Brian's that way too. So I got to leave that open just the same. But yeah, I'm going to wait for that part. I believe he was wearing a particular thing or whatever, and I've known this since I heard about the apartment search warrant and what was collected there. I'm just going to talk about it. All right. Right after Brian Cooper was arrested, when they did the warrant search at the parents' house and the apartment and all this other stuff, and they gave us a list of all the things that were found during these searches. Now, most of these sites, and I dug around to like over 50 of them, you would get pieces of information here and there. At one site, you would find out there was a receipt. Now, that sounds weird. A Walmart receipt, mind you. And I know that doesn't seem very important, but apparently the cops thought it was very important because they set it aside and by itself was directly entered into evidence. Now, if you dig around a bit more, and I have links for this, by the way, you'll find that it wasn't just a Walmart receipt. And these two items that were placed together every single time when the evidence was reported on any website or whatever that chose to actually do the digging, it was a Walmart receipt and a Dickies price tag. like for a clothing item. Now, this piqued my interest, so I kept digging and digging and digging because I'm like, why does one website have this, but the other website has that, and all this other crap? And then I found a couple of websites, and and I still at least have the screenshot and all that of the one, but the price tag, one at least three sites I found actually had the price of the item itself. And knowing Walmart, since I used to actually work there, oddly enough, I went to the website. Figured, hey, this is going to be easy, right? You'd be amazed. It really was that freaking easy. I went to Walmart.com and using their shopping helper thing, I selected I only wanted to look up items by the brand of Dickies. And then I typed in the exact price of a quick $59.99. And oddly enough, you want to know out of all the things Walmart sells, how many of those items at that time? And I think I checked the last time about a week ago, and sure enough, it's still that item, and I was able to pull it up still. And it happened to be an item I actually had at home still here. I use it for Halloween in my costumes and stuff because I love being Jason Voorhees for Halloween, and I love being Michael Myers. And what it turned out to be was a pair of, I don't know, coveralls or whatever you would say. They're long sleeved. They're made out of a really tough, thick fabric or whatnot that's scotch guarded, which is a chemical term meaning a fabric, a chemical that is sprayed upon a fabric that keeps the liquids that fall on the fabric from sinking into your skin and dyeing your skin a different color. Now, these things are commonly used by painters, mechanics, and many other professions to keep oil and paint and all this other stuff from sinking through your outfit onto your skin and dyeing your skin, right? Now, I know that maybe that sounds a bit weird. And I had to do the test myself once I knew this. It kind of seemed fun. I got a bunch of fake blood while I was wearing the suit, and I dumped it all over myself, damn near head to toe. And this would keep you covered literally from your wrists. All you had to do was put some gloves on, put a little shoe booties on your feet. By the way, I don't remember where exactly, but a box of shoe booties or whatever, what they kind of use at crime scenes to keep their footprints off of things, was found somewhere in there. I'm not going to say the apartment, but if it was the apartment, oh well. So that tells me right there why we only have one print from the shoe or whatever as well. My guess is he's murdered a couple of people by this point. Blood starts coagulating and drying very quickly. He's walking through it. It gets stuck to the carpet. He accidentally pulls it off. Maybe he reaches down, yanks it up, puts it back on, continues walking. That's why we only got one footprint. Very easily and logically explained. Um, Back to the suit. I dumped a whole ton of this fake blood on me, and the Scotch guard makes it bubble on the outside and just drip off of me. It never touches my skin, and that's very important for what he's intending to use it for in the first place, right? Right. And I believe that is to keep the DNA and everything out of his car. And honestly, as far as I'm concerned, he did a great ass job because nothing was ever found in that car, as far as I know. If you find out later that's not true, hey, cool. But but yeah, the only thing on that website was a suit that you basically wear or whatnot. It's a real baggy suit or whatnot, whatever. And there was one little freakish detail I had to go grab my suit just to make sure of. And it seemed to me, using logic, that it explained one of the weirdest things about this crime that I wanted to figure out why. And it was plain out and simply because why, if you have a sheath, unless, like Mr. Gibbo said, it broke, and why would you be carrying it? I mean, we know it's a total, including the sheaths and everything else, and the handle and stuff. We're talking about a 16-inch knife. That's not such an easy thing to carry around in your pocket because most pockets aren't going to let you carry around a 16-inch blade, right? Right. He's not going to leave the sheath in the car because he's walking through a black apart, this dorm house thingy. And I also believe that's what he was waiting for that made him know he could go inside the house in the first place because he was waiting for the lights to turn off. That's why right as soon as they got the DoorDash and stuff, that's when he decides to enter the house because interior house, the main part of the house, all the lights were off. He don't care if they're still awake in the rooms, but he knows they're not in the rest of the house. So, um, but the suit, as I was saying, you can see it on the website. It's on there right now. Like I said, I'm going to post a link on there. You will see if you zoom into that waist area. Oddly enough, the suits have no belt loops, so he couldn't have wore a belt because he couldn't. He had nothing he could hang the knife on, the sheets or whatever. He just had nothing. There's no belt loops. I checked my suit; it had none. The suit on the website didn't have any. So it's just a weird little piece of logic because this is stuff that was found inside of Brian Kober's residence. And you also notice what's not on the items that are found at the parents' house or at the apartment or anywhere else either. Well, if you just bought that suit, bro, why don't you have it anymore? That's kind of weird, ain't it? And I've heard many rumors. I'll use it and talk about it right now because somebody else reminded me of it. Thank you, Gibbo. And I have no problem in saying it, but I'm going to let you right now until I have it verified. I'm not going to say this is true, but it is something I've heard many times that members of his family or whatever had seen this exact suit, and they were asking questions, and they actually one was trying to mess with this suit to try to test the stuff, like they were seeing spots on it, shit like that, and it was one of the key reasons that they thought he was the one that did this. I've heard a lot of different reasons, just suspicion for many reasons, but I do believe there was one of the sister. From what I've heard in every story, that same sister believed and suspected in him right away. The father also suspected in him before he even got to Washington. Like it was hinted at in a book that I read by a real famous author that came out not too long ago, but I can't think of it right now. But it was known that the family damn well, pretty well suspected that it was him all along because it was like 9 miles away from his actual house. And to them, it just seemed like something he would do. I'm sorry. If people get murdered 9 miles from my house, do you think my parents and all them are going to sit there and go, I bet Charles did that? No, no. So, what kind of person do you got to be that your whole family almost thinks that you murdered 4 people unless they're seeing something that we're not seeing yet, like, you know, a suit covered in little brown reddish spots or this and that and the other? I don't know. We're going to find out, I'm sure, but it's just another interesting fact. But as I said, if there is a massive corruption going on, that would require, I think, at one point they had 18 different, or at least 12 to 18 different law enforcement from Georgia Bureau of Investigation to God knows who all involved in this case. That would mean all of them are corrupt. The odds in that, you better go buy a lottery ticket because you have better chances of winning $5 billion, in my opinion. And it's just, sorry about my language, but it's bullshit. This case is looking like it's freaking Scooby Doo, in my opinion. A guy running around with a mask that gets fooled by a bunch of kids and a dog. Exactly how I see it. But getting back to the crime. Okay. Now we know what happened, as far as Charles is concerned, to Maddie and Caleb. The dog's still locked up in the room. So eliminate the dog from the process, but the dog might be still freaking out, as it should be. Because I'm sure some sounds were made because at this point in time, Dylan Morton says is now standing at her doorway with the door cracked quite a bit. And she's announcing to the entire rest of the house, which is also in the earliest statement. And I have seen a bit of the newest statement, and that pretty well is what you guys need to cut the hell out, or something like that was being said very loudly, damn near yelling, as far as I heard of it. Now, I'm going to ask you a question because I want you to go in the direction I think of just, on your own. If you're Xana and Ethan, you have no idea what the hell is going on, but you hear some sounds and you're just like, I don't know what's that, but But now you're hearing Dylan, who's right there in the hallway, not far from them, practically yelling, "Y'all need to cut it out!" Right? What would you do? Stay in the room, keep the door locked, hide? Hmm? Me personally, this is where it starts to get odd because I've heard a different bunch of different things about where Ethan was found, where Xana was found, and everything else. And I can only give my honest of what I would do as a man in that room is investigate. The problem with that is um, for Brian to now get out of the house because he knows his plan's fucked up and he's hearing Dylan fucking yelling, right? Or almost yelling. I know he hears it. He's trying to quickly get down the stairs and this and that. He's now in the hallway and he's getting ready to come forward, and that door opens, the one that's well before the sliding glass door, aka Santa and Ethan's door. Now, common sense to me, I've heard different rumors at different times. I can't verify it, but it just makes sense to me that the significant wounds to Ethan would have been in his neck area on the direct side that faces the left, aka the stairwell that Maddie and them would have, their room would have been. Uh, Once again, I'm just using logic here. If that happens to be the case, wouldn't the easiest explanation have been that he opens the door to Xana's room, which there's a light on behind him? So you know how your eyes get when they're all around a bunch of whole bright lights, but then you're peering out into a completely dark household. Your eyes take time to focus and do the thing with the light and stuff. You know what I mean? As his eyes are trying to adjust to the darkness to what the hell is going on, he's basically a sitting duck, right? His head, neck, all the way to his upper chest, torso area would have been slightly hanging out of Xana's door. So, I mean, if I'm thinking as a killer, hey, just stab him in the neck, right? Yeah, right. Boom, Ethan's done. There goes your biggest threat now. But the problem now remains that the door's open. There's a light on behind the dude, and there's somebody in that room that just saw you stab him, right? Xana. And, well, you got to get rid of a witness, right? So then we hear the, hey, I'm here to help. And we also know that, at least what was reported by the family members, that Xana had significant injuries. In fact, what I remember was that her multiple fingers on her hands were nearly chopped off. And my guess, she was defending herself from the attacks of the K-Bar. So that's so far the explanation. And now then we're going to start going through a couple of weird things, but basically we're almost done here. So you don't have to worry about it. If you got something to do, you can go do it. And okay. So he closes the doors. He's either probably got them locked or something like that. I still do not know where Ethan was found. I've heard that he was found in bed, covered up. I'm not sure. I also heard his fraternity brothers had trouble getting in the door because it was possible that he was behind the door. Now, if that is the case, I find it more likely to believe that you know uh, that's more in line with what I was saying. He opens the door, leans out, gets stabbed, falls backwards, and then you know Brian closes the door or whatnot. He might have been still alive too, and that's sad in itself. But even if he was, it probably wasn't for long. Okay. Now continue on with the evidence and what is known and all this other crap. At this point, I don't know if Brian Koberger saw Dylan Mortensen in that room. I don't know if it was visual snow. I don't know if he was just really tired because hey, he only came there to kill one person. It was supposed to be really freaking easy. Tiniest girl there, practically. Bethany Funk was kind of tiny. You know what I'm saying? And now it's evolved into four. His stress level and heart's probably flying up the handle and shit. He might have just not seen her. Maybe he thought she already called the cops because she saw what was going on in the hallway. But apparently, I guess she didn't see it. There's a bunch of different reasons, but in my honest opinion, he saw her and he just decided, you know what, I'm gonna get the f out because I'm already being lucky as it is. And I'm mad at myself because I dropped my sheath somewhere and I don't remember where. My best bet right now is get the hell out of this damn house. Which rumor? Which rumor did you start, Jibo? Well, if I like the way a rumor sounds, I mean, believe it or not, say I'm a writer, right? And even upon hearing all these different things and those couple of little small rumors, when I heard them, I was just like, you know what? They sound so good. I want to include them. All I got to do is literally explain at the time, hey, I don't know if this is real or not, but hey, it sounds good. If I'm writing a book, I'd include it, and that's all I'm doing. And if that ends up a rumor, hey, I can survive on being 80 to 85% right. It still means I'm pretty damn good as far as I'm concerned. and so now Brian Koberger is outside the house. Let's get back to one little rumor still left, and that's the most important thing. Now, if it so far it's a rumor, but it's everywhere. It will not die. I checked just to see how many times I could find it on Google in different ways before I came on to go live, and I found like 60 different ways this rumor was used, but all at the same point, all at the same place. And as I said, I don't know if it's real or not. You don't have to believe it. It just, in a weird way, makes sense. I'm going to start with the basic part of the rumor, which, like I said, it's a rumor. Don't believe it, but just keep it in mind. And that is at some point that Bethany Funk was seriously didn't think she should have to testify. That this is all fact. I'm gonna tell you the fact about the rumor. That's not a rumor, but it involves it. So I have to include it. The fact is that Bethany Funk didn't think she had to testify at the trial. Correct? Everybody knows that. And the defense had a shit fit and told the judge, look, I don't care if we get her testimony beforehand or this or that and the other, but we want to know what the hell she's saying because we believe that there is exculpatory evidence either in what she heard or what she saw or both. And you can Google that just as well. I'm telling you 100% fact proof right there. I'm not entirely sure what she saw yet. We're going to find out very soon, I guess. The rumor itself was that Bethany has had been looking out the window of her room and saw a man outside. Now, the rumor changes back and forth. The original I heard made me giggle because I'm like, really? But the more I heard about the story, the more I put things together and stuff. That's the part of the riddle, the rumor that kind of made sense. Even if it's a rumor, it still made sense. Because at some point in time, let's figure this out. Brian Koberger, he's committed the 4 murders. He's walking out of that house. He's got his car in front of him. He's on the passenger side around some trees. And there would have also been snow all over the ground and stuff, and some trash cans that probably had trash in them and everything else. And he would have to have paused right there, did something, and we'd have to be able to find evidence of that. Now, weird thing, we can find pictures long ago, right after the murders happened, that exact area right next to where he would have parked on the passenger side of his car towards the back. And there was blood that had collected in a weird, massive area. And comparatively, I talk about drops and stuff like that. Like you could probably stand out there at the edge of the road 50 feet away and look at this area and go, hey, is that blood? And we're not even going to include the house bleeding, okay? That's another thing. But I'm not even going to include that because that's just, I don't have any idea how to mess around with that to have it involved in this. I just think there was so much blood. It's how it goes. Um, so, yeah, we have pictures and stuff of that specific area that would have been right on the passenger side door, about the trunk area where they believe that Brian Koberger parked. And right next to those trash cans, there is significant drippage of blood, as if the killer stopped there, did something for an accumulated bit of time, and then proceeded to go and get into his car and leave. Okay. Now, the original way I heard this rumor, very, very right off the bat, as soon as the crime happened, like 2 days after, I heard somebody had seen, not no names were involved or anything just yet, but the actual rumor began as that somebody looking out their window had seen a naked man standing outside. And I'm like, yeah, the murderer was naked. Yay, that sounds funny as hell. All right. But the more I learned and everything else, it started to make a little bit of sense because if Brian Koberger's wearing that stupid ass suit, which you don't have to believe me. As far as I'm concerned, the evidence is there, and the cops already know it. And once the trial hits, they're going to say the same shit. You're going to be like, "Oh shit, I guess that dude was right." Yeah, okay, I was. And well, to keep the blood and all that out of his car, what's he got to do? Got to take the suit off, right? Now, I've heard a lot of different ways this happens. He has a bucket in his trunk, and that bucket's lined with the shower curtain that's missing from his house, and yada yada. I don't know about any of that. It may be true. If I remember right, that is correct. That the shower curtain was gone from a shower, and there, I don't know where the bucket comes from. I do remember something about a bucket other than that, but I don't want to connect it if it's not true. Um, and of course, the part where I said he pulled a Richard Allen when he was arrested, I think at his parents' house, a Glock was found. It had two magazines to it, none of them which were loaded and stuff. And yeah, it kind of made me think of Richard Allen, the way he used that gun, if he intended to use it that way. I still think he might have tried to shoot him and the gun just didn't work, but that's just me. But Koberger, yeah, I could see him carrying around an unloaded weapon to use for control. Makes sense, right? 1 second. All right, so he takes the suit off, puts it in a bucket. I'm not saying there was really a bucket. Lined with a shower curtain. I'm not really saying there's a shower curtain. I'm just going with the flow. But one way or another, maybe a trash bag, whatever, he takes the suit off outside the car. We know that he paused right there at that spot because of the amount of blood that was found right there. So you can say whatever you want, but for whatever reason, the killer stopped right like that. Okay. He didn't leave his stuff in the trash or anything like that, or, well, the cops would have it, right? Right, okay. So he had to have taken it with him, which means he had somewhere to put it at to do so, which everything else falls in place. As I said, the rumor was going around that either he was fully naked, partially naked, this, that, and the other. I do believe on the same warrant they found the receipt and the Dickies tag. There was a lot of them looking for things like Under Armour clothing and stuff like that. I'm guessing like sporting wear, stuff like that. There's a lot of weird workout clothes and stuff that would have been really small. Maybe he was wearing some weird ass gym clothes or something underneath the thing that keeps. So he had something on. But at the same time, it would explain why somebody would think, "Hey, why is there a naked guy out there?" You know, right? Because he's just wearing a pair of shorts or something, or boxers or something. And okay, now he's got the suit off. He probably keeps whatever he's got on his head on, but he takes the mask and all that off, common sense, because it might have blood on it too. Anything that might touch the car, he doesn't want there. He probably keeps his head off the hood, the headrest, and all this other stuff, and just drives away. Now, I can basically just leave it at that. I don't know about the blood in the stairwell and stuff like that. It's not important as far as I'm concerned, unless he set it up to make somebody else look like the killer or something, which is quite possible too. But once you get through all this different stuff and find the little chunks and stuff that all seem to link to Mr. Brian Koberger, I don't see how you can see that it's corruption. I do not see how you can see how he's still innocent or that they have no reason to have arrested him because there's too many pieces to connect between here and yeah and yeah and yeah and yeah, and they all seem to go right back to Brian. So he's got to be the worst luck mofo in the world, or some creepy looking serial killer motherfucker wannabe with intel. What seems more likely at this point, knowing all the and we get to add in more evidence because the defense people have been running around for a while now, telling us what you can't even prove that Brian had a K-bar knife. Oh, really? Technically, I think we could prove he had two of them at some point, and he ain't got none now. Brian, would you like to explain where your knives are, friend? No? Why not? You're not going to testify? Oh, bother. I wonder why. That's because not only do you have this massive, coverall suit that we know you bought, like in your house, that you no longer have. You're not a painter or a mechanic, and you didn't have it for very long, right? What about the knives? I heard they last forever and they have a damn good guarantee on them when you buy them brand new. You just got rid of both? It's kind of weird. Why would you do that? Oh, maybe you had the sheath or something, right? No? None? Huh. I honestly, if I lived in the Washington area and stuff like that, I would go about that route that they know that Brian took and look for any decent, considerable size body of water and just go out there with a big old magnet, just keep magnet fishing right off the bridge. Because I tell you what, man, you're gonna have a story to tell to the news and make some money and stuff if you find them damn knives. And if he did have two, which I'm not sure still at this moment, if there was two, I know there was one because he got it from Amazon. But if there was two, maybe this wasn't his first crime. But once again, going by what the witnesses said, I still think even if that wasn't his first crime, he would have freaked out like he did because his perfectly laid out plan went to utter shit. Or as I've been saying all night, oh no, my amazing freaking plan was ruined by the damn pesky kids and that annoying little dog. Yeah, he was spoiled by a dog and some kids. Some drunk ass kids that just wanted to go to sleep and a girl who wanted to just check on her friend. And it's actually pretty sad in itself, and I don't want anybody to think I'm making jokes of it because I'm really not trying to. And I just think it's hilarious that the most brilliant man in the room, as far as he's concerned, got foiled in his amazing plan. I mean, Richard Allen, he had this half-ass, weak-ass plan. I like this spot here. It's pretty. If I could just give me a girl and come over here, I'm gonna kill her and do stuff to her. And he was able to do it to do girls and succeed for the longest time. But the so brilliant, high IQ Mr. Brian Kober, PhD student and serial killer expert, couldn't even get past the first couple of steps before his plan went to total shit. And yeah, I'd like to think that's kind of funny in my own self. To me, it's hilarious because to watch a narcissist fail and be able to prove it and just laugh at him for it, that's gold. That is freaking gold. And it's sad that kids had to die in the process for us to do that, but just think he'd still be on the streets if not. And yeah, that's bad too. Now, speaking of K bars, because oddly enough, right when I get ready to start making this live, uh, yeah, we get news. The only other case I could really think of that really associates itself with not only mass murder, but K Bar Knives, who are the sponsor of our show tonight. If you'd like to say it, no, I'm just kidding. Obviously, they're not going to sponsor this, but um, Grant Amato. Yeah, apparently he's back in the news. The guy who slaughtered the Cam Girl guy, he stole around $200,000 to $300,000 from his entire family to send to a call girl he has never met. The Serb simps a lot of simps. Never got a piece of ass out of it. Nothing. I'm sorry if that sounds mean. Slaughtered his brother, who was a nurse, if I remember right, and gave him a whole bunch of money. And slaughtered his parents. I think it was around Thanksgiving or one of those holidays and stuff. And he yeah, cut just really messed up things, but he also used a K-bar knife, oddly enough. And well, yeah, as I said, he's back in the news. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Ghost Adventures, which is not a big deal, but there is a guy, I think Arthur Goodwin, which is a little bit too close to home. Leave the people with the name Godwin and Goodwin alone. Stop trying to kill us. I don't appreciate it. Just saying. And this guy, I guess you can call him a celebrity. He's got a seemingly decent looking, blonde haired wife, but not so much now because she's in court for conspiracy to commit murder because apparently she was trying to have her husband Arthur killed, so she didn't have to get divorced and got more money out of the deal. And apparently, this is somehow connected to Grand Amato, and I'm about to say how, and it's just insane. He was apparently helping in the hit to get it done, and they're in love. As I said, he is the king of simps. There's always a hottie around that he can't seem to get his hands on, and that's just how it goes. And I just thought I'd add that. I'm probably going to do a little more deep dive on that just for my own personal fun at some point because I want to have that case covered. Because it's pretty messed up in its own self, and you'll see why once I do it. And I don't know. I might be going live again tonight with something else. It depends on how I feel. I just gonna take like 30, 45 minutes, see how I what I want to do because I still might want to come back and discuss, but that's gonna take forever. So I'm not sure if I want to do it. But I still either that or tomorrow I'm going to be talking about Maura Murray, Brianna Maitland, the Namus 45, the database of missing persons for a specific time in a specific area and all this other stuff. You'll find out why. It's very important. As regards to now two persons of interest, that would be the new guy who likes to, he's an animal lover. You'll see. His name is Stephen Baldwin, and we're going to go over all the reasons that why he seems connected to Maura Murray and her disappearance and the evidence against him that is known at least to us. Should be awesome. And oddly enough, he's also possible connection to another missing girl named Brianna Maitland, who went missing exactly 1 month and 10 days after Maura Murray did. So that's gonna be cool. But yeah, and the other person of interest. Well, if you know anything about serial killers, this one's going to catch your attention pretty quickly. A man by the name of Israel Keys. Israel Keys has known to have at least three known victims: a old elderly couple and Samantha Koenig. We're also gonna go through that later. Just giving you a heads up for now. And I'm not gonna do the details yet because I'm just not feeling it right. I need to go smoke me a joint and get rid of this disgusting filth of murder off of my brain before I can get on to the next disgusting filth of murder onto my brain. Okay. But I appreciate anybody still here, and I love you guys. You're awesome. Gibbo, you my dog. I'm sorry for being late. I'll try harder next time. Okay. Thank you for anybody that did show up. And as I said, I'm probably going to be back because I have had a really bad day, but good at the same time. So I'm not done yet. All right. Thank you guys. Give me about an hour, and you'll see that something else will start back up. I'm going to try to send out some links this time. Well, maybe we'll have some people here, but it don't matter. They can watch it on the replay. They've already seen this. They're my friends. They know. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I wasn't able to pay that much attention to the chat. I advise you. I am sanctioned for live. No way! What's up, dog? You came to watch me. Oh, you do like me, don't you? Oh, I want to correct you, but I'm so happy you came to see me, Noe. I just want to tell you, bro. I'm not troll farm, but whatever. You probably not even know me. I mean, not even, probably freaking. I know too many trolls, bruh. Too many trolls. But yeah, whoever you are, I'm probably unsure. Yeah, I don't care. I'll be back in like an hour or so. I got to get high up some marijuana and, like I said, get back in the mood to start talking about creepy, disgusting, dark, demented things. All right. Appreciate y'all. Love you. Mwah.